indicated we will be in a war with North Korea. Guess what? It would be a nuclear war, and he does have plenty of nuclear capability. In the meantime, I have a very good relationship with him. Different kind of a guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship, and there's no war. And you know, about 2 months ago, he broke into a certain area. They said, oh, there's going to be trouble. I said, no, they're not, because he's not going to do that. And I was right. Look, instead of being in a war where millions of people, Seoul, you know, is 25 miles away, millions and millions, 32 million people in Seoul, millions of people would be dead right now.
President Trump, that's 30 seconds. Vice President Biden, to you.
What has he done? He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy, who's a thug, and he talks about how we're better off, and they have much more capable missiles, able to reach U.S. territory much more easily than ever did before.
Let me follow up with you.
All right. This is an interesting thing. I have a young friend, not so young anymore. He's a young sergeant major on the Korean border right now. The sergeant majors are in charge of entire divisions. They run the divisions in the military for the generals. I could name him, but he's from Sarasota. And I talked to him about this situation. He's scared to death, frightened to death, that he's going to get caught. Because when you're, and his doorway on his apartment in Korea looks right at the border, right there. So when the soldiers from North Korea were to come south, they'd come right over his apartment building. The ball game is, Trump is playing with fire with this thing. The way to solve the Korean problem is somewhat like Biden wants to do, but really China is the answer. The only way you can bring Korea in and rein them in is with China. No one else can do that. And you can force the issue. Right now, Kim is gone. His sister's running Korea. They think he's had the virus and or is dead, but then they don't know. So it doesn't really matter if you made friends with Kim or not. His sister's running the show. That's the other thing. But you've got to negotiate without saying you've got love letters going back and forth, which is what he said a while back. This is silly stuff, and but it's embarrassing.
Key vote on a new Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and healthcare is at the center of her confirmation fight. Over 20 million Americans get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. It's headed to the Supreme Court, and your administration, Mr. President, is advocating for the court to overturn it. If the Supreme Court does overturn that law, those 20 million Americans could lose their health insurance almost overnight. So what would you do if those people have their health insurance taken away? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. First of all, I've already done something that nobody thought was possible. Through the legislature, I terminated the individual mandate. That is the worst part of Obamacare, as we call it. The individual mandate where you have to pay a fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance. I terminated, it's gone. Now it's in court because Obamacare is no good. But then I made a decision, run it as well as you can to my people, great people. Run it as well as you can. I could have gone the other route and made everybody very unhappy. They ran it. Premiums are down, everything's down. Here's the problem. No matter how well you run it, it's no good. What we'd like to do is terminate it. We have the individual mandate done. I don't know that it's going to work. If we don't win, we'll have to run it and we'll have Obamacare, but it'll be better run. But it no longer is Obamacare because without the individual mandate, it's much different. Pre-existing conditions will always stay. What I would like to do is a much better healthcare, much better, will always protect people with pre-existing. So I'd like to terminate Obamacare, come up with a brand new, beautiful healthcare. The Democrats will do it because there'll be tremendous pressure on them, and we might even have the House by that time, and I think we're going to win the House, okay? You'll see, but I think we're going to win the House. But come up with a better healthcare, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And one thing very important, we have 180 million people out there that have great private health care, far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies. These are people that love their health care, people that have been successful, middle-income people, been successful. They have 180 million plans, 180 million people, families, under what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized medicine. He won't even have a choice. They want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done an incredible job on health care, and we're going to do even better.
Okay, Vice President Biden, yes, this is for you. Your healthcare plan calls for building on Obamacare. So my question is, what is your plan if the law is ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
What I'm going to do is pass Obamacare with a public option, become Biden-care. The public option is an option that says that if you, in fact, do not have the wherewithal if you qualify for Medicaid and you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically enroll, providing competition for insurance companies. That's what's going to happen. Secondly, we're going to make sure we reduce the premiums and reduce drug prices by making sure that there's competition that doesn't exist now by allowing the Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the insurance companies. Thirdly, the idea that I want to eliminate private insurance, the reason why I had such a fight with 20 candidates for the nomination was I support private insurance. That's why I did not one single person with private insurance would lose their insurance under my plan, nor did they under Obamacare. They did not lose their insurance unless they chose they wanted to go to something else. Lastly, we're going to make sure we're in a situation that we actually protect pre-existing. There's no way he can protect pre-existing conditions. None. Zero. You can't do it in the ether. He's been talking about this for a long time. He's never come up with a plan. I guess we're going to get the pre-existing condition plan the same time we get the infrastructure plan that we waited since 17, 18, 19, and 20. The fact, I still have a few more minutes. I know you're getting anxious. The fact is that he's already cost the American people, because of his terrible handling of the COVID virus and economic spillover, 10 million people have lost their private insurance. And he wants to take away 22 million more people who have it under Obamacare, and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions. And all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up for you.
All right. Obamacare was created by Senator Chafee, a Republican, in 1990. And it was picked up by Massachusetts, all the Republicans, and put in under Romney. Romney and Massachusetts created what we call Obamacare. They didn't put in the mandate, but other than that, there's no difference in the healthcare system in Massachusetts and Obamacare. A Republican plan, not really a Democratic plan. Now Biden is talking about the public option and saying there won't be if there's a public option, there won't be a mandate. That'll never be brought in again. And that's the end of that. Medicare has private health care with it. You have to have 20% of your coverage on your own. And the supplemental plans are private health care systems. And what Biden is proposing is that you're going to have private health care on top of Medicare or the public option. They're going to be pretty similar based on what he's been saying. The whole thing, and that what Trump is really blowing smoke at people unless he shows a real plan in place. You can't just drop one and we're going to start another one, and then not leave people in the wilderness on this whole thing. And that is really dishonest on the part of Trump in this argument.